Welcome to Theme Weavers, your weekly wisdom for weaving yoga themes in 10 minutes or less. We're your hosts, Heidi
and Farin. Yoga teachers, thanks for tuning in and joining us. I am sitting here with my first cup of morning coffee, and we're so excited to have you join us. Did you have a moment to listen to our trailer episode last week? If not, you're in luck because you will learn all about us today. If you have a moment, though, go back and listen to our trailer. Make sure you follow us to not miss a thing. My name's Farin, and I'm a yoga teacher that specializes in weaving themes into yoga classes. My co-host Heidi and I want to tell you briefly about how we met since we're on opposite sides of the country. Heidi was my mentor during my 300-hour teacher training, and she's now my BFF. We wanted to bring our daily conversations to life for you, fellow yoga teachers, so that way we can share weekly wisdom for weaving yoga themes into your yoga classes in 10 minutes or less.
Okay, thanks, Farin. And yes, you're obviously my BFF as well. Thanks to Marco Polo. If you're not sure of the app, that's how we talk all day long.
All day,
Let me
every
tell you
day.
a little, all day, every day. Yes, our children are like, hey, we're here too. All right, anyway. Farin is an amazing woman who has done more in 35 years than most people do in 50. She does everything fast. From graduating from college in 2.5 years to getting married, to starting a family, to becoming a homeowner at the age of 23. I mean, that's amazing. To getting a divorce and getting remarried. She has fast-tracked her life. She also decided to switch careers at 29 years old when she was laid off from her job as a journalist, which was clearly their loss, but our gain. She decided she wanted to do things that excited her, and with a flexible schedule, of course. Farin has made a successful living watching dogs and teaching yoga, and now managing an amazing yoga studio. So Farin moves much faster in her life than I do, but we both have similar core elements of our personalities. We both set our minds on a goal and immediately run headfirst and throw 200 million% of ourselves into doing everything we can to achieve and surpass where we hope to be, as evidenced by this podcast, which, by the way, we decided to do less than 2 weeks ago. And here we are. We both also made pivots in our careers, but we do use our previous skills to enhance what we're doing now. We live on opposite sides of the country. Farin is in Central California, and I'm in the Boston area in Massachusetts. So a bit more about me, Heidi. I have practiced yoga for 25 years, and it helped me grow stronger and more flexible and fearless, both on and off of my mat. It inspires me to be present and live each moment with intention, passion, fun, and connection. I'm a mother to 2 amazing children. I've been married for 16 years to my high school sweetheart. I worked as a clinical social worker for about 20 years and then made the transition to teaching yoga full-time about 4 years ago now. When I'm not managing a yoga studio or teaching, I play a bunch of instruments and I make music whenever I can. We're super grateful to Matt Giordano. If you don't know him, he's the Yogi Matt. And we're grateful to him because he brought us to each other. I did my 200-hour yoga teacher training at a local yoga studio here in Massachusetts, and then decided to do my 300-hour with Matt, the Yogi Matt. And in that process, I was really excited to sort of push Matt to finish his training, and he identified me as a leader within our yoga community and asked me to be a mentor. So now I've mentored 84 different students through their 300-hour trainings and helped them increase their skills and how they educate their students. But really why I'm super grateful to Matt is because the studio that Farin works at was, unbelievable, and gifted all of their yoga teachers to become 300-hour teacher trained through Matt's training. And Matt asked me to be his mentor. And that's how I got to work with Farin, right? The rest is kind of
Yeah.
history.
Yeah.
So
So
we're both really passionate in helping teachers show their love of the practice for themselves and with their communities. So that's kind of why we're here.
absolutely. Yeah. So I did my 200-hour teacher training with a studio that I currently manage. And so that was like my origin stories with that studio. And then I did my 300-hour teacher training as I was an employee and just a teacher, but not yet the manager, I believe. Was I already the manager, Heidi? Do you remember?
Yeah. Yes, you were.
Oh, I was already the manager. Okay, never mind. So I did my 300-hour teacher training, Matt Giordano's chromatic yoga. and Heidi was the mentor. And I really loved that there was a big focus on giving a Dharma talk in the teacher training. So we really
Farin,
learned how to what?
what's a Dharma talk? What if people don't
Oh,
know?
a Dharma talk. It is the purpose for your yoga class, the intention that you set for your yoga class. It's about 5-ish minutes at the beginning of your class where you explain what your theme is, how it ties to a yogic teaching, a yogic text, wisdom, anything. And then you continue to weave that through your class. But the Dharma talk is like the setup, it's the introduction, it's the thesis.
Awesome. Thank you.
So we learned about delivering these Dharma talks and how to weave those themes throughout our classes. And I just really connected with that. It's something that I learned in my 200 hour, but I felt like I got just a more advanced look at how that's supposed to be done successfully in the 300 hour. And that's why we decided that we should offer this skill to other yoga teachers who might struggle with it. Because I know at first I definitely did.
I think that so many people get so inspired to share a theme and they share it for like a split second and maybe they're feeling really nervous about it and then they kind of go on to teach their class and they don't want to forget about all the sequences and postures and things that they did that they never really come back to the theme and then they'll like drop random inspiration throughout the class that has nothing to do with the first thing that they said and then they never really wrap it up. So, I see this in yoga classes a lot as a student and when I see it done that way, I don't really receive as much of a bang for my buck, right? As a student, I'm not as inspired and I don't remember as much. And so we just really were passionate about the more that Farron and I talked about this on our Marco Polo conversations, the more we realized that we could really help other teachers like ourselves. And we really want that to create an impact for you, our listeners.
It's just a more powerful class once you are able to stick to that same theme over and over and just kind of like, what's the phrase with the hammer?
Drop the hammer.
Drop the
Boom.
hammer. You just drop the hammer over and over and then it like sticks with you. Then I'm like, oh yeah, I can remember that class. I remember what the theme is because I heard it over and over and over again. And it doesn't get repetitive. It really doesn't.
No,
Like
not at
you
all.
feel as a yoga teacher when you're saying it that it's really repetitive, but your students are only listening to like maybe half of what you say, to be honest. So they'll catch on to it.
They will. And we're going to talk to you about that in our next episode about how to deliver our theme and what our methodology is to be able to create this impact and how important repetition is. And I'll say it next episode, but Farron, do you know how many times you need to hear something in order to remember it?
I don't know.
It's because you haven't heard it repeated enough times. Kidding.
This is true.
7. The magic number is 7. You need to hear something
Oh,
repeated over and over 7 times in order for it to retain. It's a
okay.
lot.
Good to know.
I'll tell you that again 6 more times. Don't worry.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Anyway, who are we here for? Who's going to listen to this podcast and our conversations with each other? It's
Yes.
me,
So,
right?
I mean, it's for you, it's for me. It's basically this was for me. This was the idea that I gave to Heidi, and then she was like, "Let's freaking run with this idea." Because I would try to like scroll through Instagram really quick right before classes, or I would try to like Google a podcast that I could listen to really quickly to give me some type of inspiration or like what is my theme going to be? What quote can I use? And I would do this on my way to work because, I'm busy. I don't have time to plan my classes anymore like I should be. And the drive to my studio from my house is only 6 minutes. So I'm like, I have literally 6 minutes to figure out what the hell I'm going to teach. Sorry, are we cussing?
It's fine. It's fine. Sorry, everybody. If you have kids around, just sometimes they slip out. We'll try and be very
My
clean.
bad.
It's
So
okay.
I need to figure out what I'm going to teach on my way to go actually teach it. And so I was like, it would be great if there was some kind of podcast that could give me a theme, give me some type of inspiration for what my peak posture would be. And then I could just roll with it. And Heidi's like, well, why don't we just do that? So here we are.
I mean, we kind of do it to each other anyway. On our way to a studio, we'll be like, hey, I just taught this class yesterday and it was amazing and it totally landed. If, this was our theme, this was what we worked toward. I even played this kind of music. And then the other one of us will be like, oh my God, that's amazing. I'm totally teaching that later tonight. And we would just go back
Yes.
and forth. So why not let other yoga teachers experience the benefit of that? Because we can't be alone. And like the struggle is real, right?
Yeah.
Every,
And we
so
just
many
wanted to
teachers.
we wanted to let you in on the conversation because we have these amazing conversations about our classes. and I will borrow from Heidi. I think Heidi has maybe borrowed a few from me. And it's like, hey, all these other
Definitely.
yoga teachers should be listening into us and getting that same inspiration. So here we
Yes.
are.
Every teacher doesn't have enough time to research their themes. We
No.
all might be lacking confidence in understanding the sutras or other yogic texts, or even knowing how to apply them to class after you've read them, or just like you're totally overwhelmed by the daunting task of inspiring students beyond the yoga poses. That's overwhelming. And we get into this state of overwhelm and information overload, and we either like word vomit it out to our students, or we have this like paralysis where we're sitting there and we had this great theme and our palms are sweating and our heart is racing and we don't know what to do with it, so we do nothing and we just teach what we know, and we don't go further, we don't push ourselves as teachers. So this podcast is for you if you feel like some of the biggest problems standing in your way are a lack of time, a lack of confidence, a lack of knowledge, a lack of clarity, or a lack of focus. As I said, and Farron said, we all lack inspiration sometimes, or maybe you feel like you didn't get enough training in how to weave themes throughout your classes to feel confident enough to do it successfully. With all the students I've mentored, if they got their 200 someplace else or 200 hours, oftentimes they're like, we didn't even talk about theming. Like, this didn't even
Oof.
come up in my training, right? You've seen that. You've heard it, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
It's real. So we want to be able to bridge that gap for you and be your buddy to help you through this. We all get this information overload. It can make it so hard to teach clearly on any one topic. And even if you did get this information in your yoga teacher training, the minute you start teaching real students and you go to plan classes, you get so busy, right? The hustle is real. How many yoga teachers have you heard of that teach like 15, 20 classes a week, and they're spending so much time driving class to class to class to class? There's just no space for them to develop these thoughts.
Yes, absolutely. I only teach, I think, 5 classes a week now. But even then, that's 5 classes, like with maybe 5 different themes that I need to have. And it's hard to just whip those out of your back pocket.
And when you manage and run a studio as well, you're like busy with all of that in
Yeah.
your free time. And there's no space. There's no space.
Absolutely. And Heidi and I both have 2 kids who we are basically the chauffeurs for to schlep them around everywhere. A
They
lot of
call
our
us,
time.
what are we, free Uber drivers? Free
Yeah,
Uber, right?
exactly.
Hmm.
So a lot of our time is spent in the car where we could be listening to this actual podcast and getting inspiration for for our classes. But otherwise, I would just be like scrolling Instagram for quick quotes and maybe trying to read a couple pages of the Yoga Sutras to like find one that I resonate with, and then I'm like, oh, okay, I'll try to teach from here. But it's hard. It's overwhelming sometimes when you're reading something that is in Sanskrit and then reading the translation of it, and then you don't even know if it's right and you don't know how to apply it. Sometimes I even look back at my original teacher training manual to see like what themes I had to come up with for that, and yeah, it just doesn't work that well.
And
It's
like the
outdated.
person that you were in that training is not the person that you are today. So what you wrote down as your notes with some sort of a theme, you're probably like, wait, what was I even talking about? That doesn't even make
Yeah.
sense.
It doesn't make sense, or I don't care about it anymore. Like, after I graduated from my 200-hour teacher training, I got a divorce immediately after. So the person that I am now, remarried, is 100% different from that person. It's crazy. So I look back at my themes and I'm like, ew, why did I teach that? And then a lot of my themes I know back then were not even based on yogic philosophy. They were pretty shallow, not really well thought out. This is especially helpful, I think, if you just graduated from a 200-hour teacher training, but even if you've been teaching for a while and you're just overwhelmed, yeah, these themes are for you.
Yeah, we have a great format that we use to help us stay focused. It's tested. It's worked for so many people, and it's not that complicated once you know what you're doing. So we want to be able to offer that to you so that way you don't have this experience that so many of us and ourselves have had.
Yes, so that you can do your best as a yoga teacher and feel really confident and know that you are memorable to your students. Your classes are memorable. They're going to keep coming back to you, and that you're not letting your students down and really giving them the richest experience that they can get.
Absolutely. As we said, we really are our own clients. We want quick inspiration for yoga classes that tie to a strong theme. I want this information and inspiration delivered in the short time that it takes for me or for Farron or for you to drive to the studio and teach. We talk to each other all the time on Marco Polo on the way to class, right? We suss through the options and then post hash afterwards to figure out what worked and what didn't. We want to offer this to you just like we offer it to each other. We're a dynamic duo who teach different styles of yoga on opposite coasts to very different communities, yet we are both strong theme weavers and respected teachers. Our system is almost prepackaged. Here's your theme. Here's a peak posture. And if you don't teach with a peak posture, that's okay. It's just a suggestion. You can take it to however you teach your classes in the style. Here's a mudra or a mantra or a pranayama and even some songs for a playlist. Now take it and go teach it. So with theme weavers by your side, yoga teachers, you will confidently deliver relatable themes that tie into ancient yogic wisdom. You will create a meaningful experience and deepen the practice for your students. It's important to hold on to ancient yogic roots and give meaning to the practice of yoga as it becomes westernized. It's not a workout, it's a work-in.
Jumping in right there.
Yes, please.
I love teaching power yoga. And I know that it does feel more like a workout sometimes, but I think it's really essential that when you do teach those classes that are maybe a little farther away from the original yoga, we also teach lift and flow at our studio where we incorporate weights and a yoga practice. So I think that even when you do those more workout-based style of classes, it's really important to weave a theme into them as well to keep it yoga.
It's not just a fitness class, right? It's
Yeah,
not just, you might get a fitness experience, a working out physical experience, but you
yes.
leave totally transformed at an emotional, mental, heart level as well.
Absolutely. So these themes, they can be threaded through any style of yoga class. It doesn't just have to be a vinyasa. It can be power. It can be gentle, restorative, whatever you might be teaching. It's really important to theme each and every class.
Absolutely. I love that. Thank you for bringing that up. It's really important.
Yeah.
So, with so many people getting certified as yoga teachers, there are so many people in so many
So
ways.
many.
Oh my gosh, especially since the pandemic, when the online option became available, everything is magnified. So, with all of these teachers, theme weaving will set you apart from the rest by being able to integrate a meaningful theme throughout your classes. And our inspo sheets that you can download from our website post each episode will serve as a resource to strengthen your yoga teaching. At first, it will inspire your yoga classes. It will make your life easier because you won't have to research a theme and piece together a class on your own. We'll guide you. Over time, it will make you a more confident teacher and one whose students really learn from and want to go back to. This will increase your class sizes and your revenue. I was inspired to create this podcast with Farin because I need it myself, a quick way to gain inspiration for yoga class while driving to the studio. Our promise to you is that we will provide you inspiring and well-planned classes in 10 minutes or less. After the class, you will have the opportunity to download an inspo sheet. Like I said, it's going to be really pretty. Farron is so good at making things pretty. And that sheet will list out everything you need to weave the theme into your class so you can inspire your students and keep them coming back for more.
I just want to thank everybody for tuning in, listening to our origin story, the first episode of Theme Weavers. I would love it if you subscribe because you already know what's coming. You already know you need it. You already know you want it. So please hit the follow button on Spotify or subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. Share the podcast with others who might find it valuable. So if you are in a community of yoga teachers, share them this resource as well. Follow us on Instagram at theme_weavers. You can also find our Facebook page, Theme Weavers Yoga. Check out our website at themeweaversyoga.com. Join us on our journey of sitting together and finding inspiration for weaving themes throughout your classes in a way that helps you feel confident and clear in front of your students. Follow on Spotify to listen next week as we talk more about our methods for delivering themes, so that way we can dive into your first themed class plan. Until next time,
we weave you in peace.